All right, we are on.
All right.
Let's do it.
Okay. Here we go. Welcome to Global History Radio, everyone. Okay. All right. We got everybody here. Hey, Shantae.
All right, I'm ready. We're ready.
We are ready. I'm just going live from the event and sharing it to my page. Okay, so start public post. Um, Okay, we're live from the event, and I'm just figuring out how to get it. I want to get it to go to my page too. So yeah, just give me 1 minute, everyone. How's it going? Ready for another good night?
Yep,
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hey,
definitely.
everyone.
Hey.
It's gonna be a good night. I'm just making sure the live is going. Okay, well, I don't know what the deal is with this. Hey, how's it going, Keisha and Shantae? How's it going? I'm so happy you guys could both be on.
Hey, boo.
So were you on? I think Shantae was commenting when you were on before, Keisha. So I definitely wanted to have her on for tonight. She's another member of our podcast family.
Hi, Keisha. See her. Is she muted? I can't hear her.
Are you muted, Keisha?
Uh,
Can you hear me
she
now?
she's not
Yes.
muted.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can hear
Yeah, we
no.
you.
hear you. We hear
I
you.
can hear you.
Okay.
Oh,
I just want
Yeah.
to make sure I'm wearing a headset this time, something different since it
oh,
allows me to be able to hear better.
It
Yeah,
sounds good.
sounds
It
good.
sounds
Good.
real good.
Sounds real
Perfect.
good. Yeah, yeah. Well, how's it going, everybody? Nice to see you.
Pretty
Nice to see
good.
everybody. It's hot out, but not too hot. I'm from the Northwest, and so there was the heat wave and stuff up there, which never happens. So it's like here I am in California and everything's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's been
I'm
nice
in
for the past few weeks.
Sacramento. It's hot. It's hot.
Oh yeah, yeah, she's in Sacramento.
I'm
And I
not.
live in Tracy, so it's hot here too.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about. It's
Absolutely.
I'm like, am I alive right now? Ew. I'm so ready to take this shirt off. I'm like, whew.
Yeah, yeah. What are you wearing so many clothes for?
Because I gotta be appropriate on your show, girl. I gotta be
Yeah,
appropriate.
my show's a little bit, yeah, my show's a little bit more.
Girl, you know.
Okay, the live, God, I haven't done this before. I've gone live from events before, but I'm also trying to get it to, okay, I'm sharing it, to my news feed. Okay, okay, I'm sharing it to mine, and Keisha, I'm sharing it to your page, to your page too.
And I posted it on my Instagram. It's everywhere.
Oh, good, good,
Yeah.
good. Okay. So
Just make
hopefully
sure.
everybody, okay, hey, everybody that's listening, if you're on Facebook or anything, you might want to go over to, if you go to YouTube, you can also catch the music
Mhm.
from our DJ Roselle. So yeah, because I always have to, when you're on Facebook, you have to start and stop. You have to start and stop it because they'll take us down if we play any music.
Mm.
And one of the things I liked so much about this book is the music. So
Ah, yeah.
yeah.
So you
Yeah.
had a chance to listen to the playlist I put together.
Oh God, you know what? I haven't yet. I'm
Yeah?
sorry. Yeah, part of
Oh,
the thing
okay.
for me, yeah, I mean, one of the things for me is that I can't listen to music as background.
Mm.
So I kind of need to.
I don't like that sometimes either. I'll be like, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk, and then it'd be music, and it'd be like, okay, do I sing? Do I keep talking? What am I doing? I'll be
Yeah.
all over the place. I definitely get that, girl. I get that.
Yeah. Either I lose focus of what
Okay.
I'm doing or I lose focus of the music.
Got
Yeah.
it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know why you're not alone, boo boo.
So Keisha, have you been doing any other readings or?
You know what? I had one scheduled in LA that got canceled because it's a new bookstore.
Oh yeah.
And so she's not quite set up yet, but I am looking forward to it. The name of her store is called The Salt Eaters, and she's in Inglewood. She's brand new and Black owned. And I'm just like, this is a perfect place for my book. But she's not quite ready yet. Like she's still getting all set up. So probably it'll be another month. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
That's so exciting, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'm
thought
excited
so too.
for you. That's dope.
Aw, thank you. You know
Yeah.
what? I'm excited for her because there's not enough, put it that way. There's not enough places to get books in the hood. Let's just keep it real. There's not hardly any bookstores there. So I just think it's a good opportunity for people to have places close by and to go purchase books, read books, have readings, children's books, get kids into it early, get them started. I think that's, I'm excited for her too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. You talk about food deserts. Well, there's also book deserts.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's just nothing comparable to that. Just going into a bookstore and being able to look around and just, yeah.
I know during COVID, it was super easy to just go online and get a Kindle because, people were afraid to hit up the bookstores or they were closed altogether, especially in the beginning. Now that things are opening up, though closing back up swiftly. But it's really nice to touch and feel, smell a book,
I know that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, books are just, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like books save my life. You just you have a place to go, and then books make you, you find books that make you feel understood, that you feel like there's somebody like me, which is why it is so important to have books come out from a lot of people from different backgrounds and different life experiences.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So very true. What's your favorite type of book to read? What's your go-to genre?
Well, now I was a fiction reader for a really long time. And then for the past several years, I've read a lot of biographies because, I mean, that's also a story. A good biography is where you get the story of history. Like sometimes I'll try and find something which is about an interesting topic, but if it's just going on about the topic and history, I kind of lose focus. If it's a person, then you have that grounding.
Yeah.
So
that's also my go-to. I love stories about real people. So biographies, autobiographies, memoirs. Same with TV. I'm the same way. I prefer to watch documentaries or movies about people, actual people who with actual stories. So it's my favorite, it's my favorite
Yeah.
thing.
Do you
Yeah.
feel that documentaries are just because our time was a little bit different? Do you feel that documentaries is like, okay, a little bit more in depth, or do you feel that books are more in depth?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I think that they're both equally valuable. I don't know if one has more content or value than the other. I think it
Right.
depends on what it is specifically.
I agree with you. I just think that documentaries are just more of a visual. You know what I mean? You can see the interviews, and then you get to see the interviews of the people that know them, and
Yeah.
their backstory a little bit different. You kind of put the face to the names and the words.
Right.
It's just different. I don't really. That's why I asked that question, because I don't necessarily think it's like one's better than the other myself. I just think that one puts faces to something, and it kind of just gives you like how a movie does. You know what I mean? When they have movies about specific people, I feel like that's how it is with the book.
I agree with that too.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes though the movies or the docs seem to leave out details because there's only so much time, usually 90 minutes or so,
Right.
sometimes less even for the movie or the doc. And that book tends to have more detail than the doc does. I love how they sometimes work hand in hand. For example, if you read Tina Turner's story, her book, her biography, and then you turn around and watch both What's Love Got to Do with It and her newest documentary that just came out. It's like all of it has little bits and pieces that the other doesn't, like you can pull something from all of that. I thought that was pretty dope how they found a way to make that all melt together and get all the details, and they didn't leave a stone unturned.
Right.
Yeah.
Back to back that you said, because in a way, sometimes I think Anna even said it before, like there are a lot of books that we've read, and then sometimes when we turn around and see a movie, it's just like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? Like I get to see it, you know what I mean? I get to see what's going on, and it's like you got all these wonderful actors that's gonna do it, and it's like a real told story, but it's like a baby doc movie type of situation. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, damn, all that went on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. Woo. It's when you read it, you're intense when you're reading it, but then when you see it, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I do like that hand in hand that you said. Like that.
It's like you get a new experience from the same information. You're like, oh man, like, and then the doc just came out, so then you watch the doc and you go, so much compassion for that woman. First of all, like I know that's not what this is about, but much compassion.
This is a free forum. This is about people's interests. So yeah.
I just thought that first of all three things were done very well. The book was well written. The movie was well done.
I'm over here like, give me a book. I need to go to Barnes and Nobles. I need to go get me a book somewhere. I don't know, but I'm so happy to be.
Oh, I think I lost you.
Shantae? She froze up.
I think she froze up.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely agree with her. Reading is, I don't know, but I watch a lot of TV too.
Yeah. I mean, I spent too much time online. I'm just constantly.
Did I leave and come back?
Froze up.
There you go.
Oh, okay. I was like,
the big thing for me about documentaries is it needs to be something that I can't just read about. I really need the visuals. So there needs to be archival footage. There needs to be a reason for it to be a documentary, because a lot of like documentaries about stuff that like current affairs and stuff, I'm like, I've seen all that.
Yeah.
But I watched a documentary about Halston, the fashion designer. And it was right after, because I watched a biopic about him, which I thought was pretty well done. And then I
Mhm.
watched a documentary about him, and that was just really cool. I mean, that's like
Yeah.
footage of him and of the fashion shows and stuff that you're just not going to see otherwise.
Yeah. Oh, I enjoyed that very much too.
Oh, you
Like,
watched it? Yeah.
oh man, I watched it on Netflix. I loved the way
Yeah.
the movie was very well done. I enjoyed it
Wasn't
very
it?
much.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
see.
it really was. Oh God, I thought the actor just did a great job, and
Yeah.
they did something has to be about, a story, a movie, it's got to be bigger than just one person. It's got to be talking about an era.
Mhm.
It wasn't just about him. It was about the whole community, about the time.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the thing for me. You go like deeply into one person, but you
Mhm.
also there also just needs to be a setting
Yeah,
too.
I agree with that too. I
Yeah.
agree. I don't want to watch a documentary so much um about current affairs, just like you. You can turn the
Exactly.
news and see that.
Yeah.
Right. You can go to Instagram and get that information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For real. You'd be like, dang, I know everything. I was just trying to scroll. So yeah.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to do
Very.
something totally different in a couple weeks. I'm going to do an event at Elegant Events Enterprise at this place downtown Vallejo that's really beautiful. I've been wanting to do an event there for a while, and they have a really big screen, like
Nice.
bigger screen than than some of the other places I do events. So I'm going to show a documentary about Thurgood Marshall,
Mm.
and then I'm going to show Marshall, the biopic with Chadwick Boseman.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah,
nice.
which I think that biopic is really good. I think it really tells you a lot about Marshall, because otherwise I wouldn't be doing it if I just thought if it was just any old film. Yeah, so I've been wanting to do something like that for a while, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that sounds great. Like it's right up my alley, honestly, because it's a movie, it's a documentary, and they go hand in hand. So, and you're
Yeah.
learning about an actual real person's experiences. And so, yeah, that's just, what I would want to see,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be the first in-person event I've done since COVID.
Oh
So
boy,
yeah.
You got
I hope
this.
you can do it.
Yeah.
No, me too.
They're starting to shut everything down again. So,
No, see, that's because people are irresponsible.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's just people was like, oh, since it's COVID is not in the media anymore, all of a sudden it disappeared, and they was out thoughting, having a good time, and doing whatever they were doing, and now it's a whole nother problem. You know what I mean? Now people are gonna probably lose jobs. People have to go back inside. So it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, and it's like all these great ideas, like Anna, like it's like we hate to postpone stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because we
Yeah.
need this type of stuff.
Definitely. I agree. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand why it's young people that are vaccine hesitant either. I don't get that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The side effects that people are more afraid of, but they don't have a clue. Like I've been on both ends of it. I had
Right.
COVID and I got my first vaccine. I got to get my second one this week probably. And I just think that they're just kind of like, oh, it ain't enough research and this and this and this and that. And it's like, okay, well, shoot. You gotta do the same thing for the flu and a couple of other things. You don't know nothing about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They have vaccines for stuff now that they didn't even have for when I was a kid. So
We ain't got no vaccines for none of this.
we have some stuff. We have some stuff, Sante, like polio.
Yeah.
I
I
think
just
like
don't
so
see
I
it.
don't usually share too much about my thoughts when it comes to this because I am one of the unvaccinated people. However, I
Yeah.
also have health risk.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
cancer survivor. I'm
Yeah.
a breast cancer survivor,
Yeah.
and so I have to be incredibly careful.
Yeah. Right.
Though I do want now, I've been, like, okay, like let me go see, I have doctor's appointments coming up where I'm gonna be like, still you think I'm not, a good candidate for the shot? Because,
Right.
I do a lot of stuff. I have, a day job. I have a lot of stuff that I could participate in that I don't. I participated in something at work just last week, an audit where, I was one of about 3 people who were masked because everybody else was already vaccinated. And sometimes I do feel like, why didn't she get the vaccine? There's so many nosy people in the world that want to know why, people do or don't do what they do. I just do
Right.
want to make sure that people do know that some people can't get the
Well,
vaccine.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
no,
Yeah.
you're right. I had to check with my doctor as well because
Yeah.
I had, immune problems myself.
Mhm.
So I had to definitely go through a lot to make
Mhm.
sure that I was even ready for that. And I don't even know if I'm even still cleared for my second vaccine.
and it's
You know
all
what
the
I mean?
more reason for people that don't have immune deficiencies to get the shot. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just you, it's not just me. That's the point of the
Yeah.
vaccination.
It's other people.
Yeah.
I have a question for Keisha and Shantae.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, I'm just curious, what exactly? I mean, if you want to say it, let me know. If you don't, I understand. What is it about that the doctor said that makes it to where you guys can't take it? What's in the shot that makes it to where it's kind of like an iffy situation for you too?
Well, for me personally, so I have, and I don't mind talking about it. In fact, I enjoy talking about it because you never know how it's going to inform somebody else who may see this later or who may be watching now. So I don't mind sharing. But for me personally, I have very low vitamin D count. So a normal vitamin D count is somewhere between 10 and 20. Mine are at 4. That's typical of someone who's a breast cancer survivor or someone who has immune deficiencies or who has autoimmune disorders. That's normal. It's not normal, but it's typical of someone in that situation. So, but the statistic for people who pass away of COVID are people who all have very low vitamin D. And so that's the reason why my doctor warned against it. He put me on a supplement. I already take a supplement, but he raised the amount of how much I'm supposed to take of vitamin D. And so we did that we started it in January. And so, yeah, I'm going to go back and see him. It will be 6 months. And so now we're going to check my vitamin D levels again. And if they're up, then, he'll recommend whatever. Now, obviously I can go and do whatever I want. I can go and get it. I cannot go and get it. No matter what he recommends, I could take the chance. Because there's no real hard concrete. It could go either way. I could get it and have a horrible reaction and, but I also have a 7-year-old. So I have to take certain precautions to make sure that I'm here for my baby. So it's one of those things where I'm like weighing it very heavy. But because of my vitamin D is the reason why my doctor said, hold off for now. Just wait a second. Let's see if we can get those levels up first.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it then. It was one of those, let's talk about it in 6 months. Keep up on your vitamin D. Come see me. We'll talk about it then. And I can appreciate that because, most doctors, they want to make that money. It's money involved. We're not going to play like it's not money involved. So he could have easily said, I recommend you go get the shot, and he didn't. So I appreciated that, he was looking out for me in that instance. But that's why I held off. And that's why, we'll see what happens in a week or so when I go see him.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Yeah, it's so hard to find a doctor that you feel safe and comfortable with. And so, I mean, the hope is, I mean, that's partially why people can be vaccine hesitant is they don't have anybody to talk to who they feel respected and heard by. So
very true.
My only issue that I had was, I don't mind. I was way more so back in the day, heavily into alcohol and smoking, and it did a lot of damage to me physically. And then on top of that, I was born with a heart murmur, and so even just getting a little bit stressed, my blood pressure goes out of the window. You know what I mean? I've had difficulty. I've been in the hospital plenty of times just because I just can't breathe. You know what I mean? It's just been certain things. And so they were just concerned about how my body would handle certain side effects. Like, could I handle a fever? Could I handle being sick for a long time? Like when I got my first vaccine shot, I mean, I didn't eat for like 4 days. You know what I mean? And I was sick for a long time. My arm stayed swollen for like 2 weeks. You know what I mean? I did not have a good reaction to it at all, you know, and it made me scared to get the second shot, you know, because I'm like, well, dang, I barely made it out the first one. But then it's like, I like, you know, Keisha was saying, it's like I got other people that I have to be concerned about, you know, my fiance's grandmother, I'm around his family a lot, and she's sick, you know what I mean? And then it's like just other people. And then it's like, I worry sometimes like, oh, I forgot my mask. And it's like, I don't want to be that person and be like, you know, giving something to somebody else, you know what I mean? Because I'm not vaccinated, but it's like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm like, well, I don't know, you know what I mean? Because it's scary because I don't know. It was just too scary. And it's like, now I'm like, ooh, that second one, you know, I don't know. So, but I mean, they worry about me, you know what I mean? There was a lot of doctors or a lot of people that said I should not go and get it, but there were also some that was just like, you're fine. So sometimes it really does depend on who's talking to you, you got your shit straight. And if they really care about you, like she said, a lot of people don't care about the money. They just be like, okay, you're fine. You know what I mean? And then you'll have some that be like, look, no, this might not be it. You need to wait a second. Yeah. And so it's just kind of like whatever you feel and whatever you're thinking, you just have to, you got to follow your body. If your body your body is like, you know what I mean? Then don't. But if you're in your mind and your heart, it's like, well, you probably should, and that's what you have to do because you're gonna get a lot of people.
Yep. I had
especially with social media, you know, everybody arguing and fighting with each other, think they doctors and stuff. So you got them.
Yeah. That's why I don't even share with a lot of people because, you know, I'm not really trying to have a debate about my health with other people. Right. It's my life, it's my health, and I'm going to make whatever choice that's best for me. Yeah. But I do like reminding people though, that don't just assume that because somebody didn't get the vaccine that they didn't want it. Like some people just truly were, you know, can't get it. They just can't, you know, and
in my pause too.
Did I stop? Did you guys not hear me?
No, I heard you.
Oh, you guys heard me.
We heard you.
Yeah, so that's really what it boils down to for me. But now, you know, Delta variant. So I don't want to I don't live in fear either. I think if I lived in fear, I probably would have succumbed to breast cancer. You got to live, right? So I do live. I have tickets to go see her in 2 months. So, you know, I got to live. I live my life, right?
Cool.
Yeah. It's going to be a dope concert. Dope concert.
Yeah.
However, you know, I'm cautious. I'm always with a mask. I keep wipes in my car. I'm wiping because, you know, you go to the grocery store. They no longer have the wipes for you anymore for the carts. You got to do it yourself. You got to bring your own. So I'm always super cautious, wear my mask, you know, protect myself, protect others, just like I was before. No different, just the same.
And you got to remember the people around you too. Sometimes I have to stay on top of the people around me. Like, okay, look, I'm not fully vaccinated. You can't be going around, running around without your mask. You know what I'm saying? Like, just for you. You know what I mean? When you come back to me, you know what I mean? Hold on. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just do that. So it's like, too many people just not thinking of each other. Everybody's so busy worried about, you know, oh, I don't want to cover my face no more. I just go out and get me some cute ass masks. You know what I mean? That's it. You know what I mean? Because I want to live. I got things I want to do. Things are popping for me in my life. I got to be here. Yeah. People got to have a little bit more consideration of other folks. You know what I mean? And like, I like what you said. She's like, I'm just, you know, I keep it tight. You know what I mean? Because you just sounded like you wear a spacesuit. So that's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? You got to care enough. And then with you being a survivor, which I commend you on, I've done a couple of walks for the cancer, you know, and I hate it. You know, and I'm just so happy you're here, especially it's hard for a Black woman to survive breast cancer. You know what I mean? So
very true.
I commend you on that, and God bless, your angel. And I know that had to be something, this whole COVID thing had to be crazy for you, you know, crazy. Like, damn, really? You know what I mean? So I get that. And a lot of people are not open about everybody's open about talking about, don't get the shot on it, but no one's open enough about talking about health issues.
Yeah.
It might not be, it could not be for them,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like
true.
I like that you shared that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, good stuff.
So, well, do you want to read for us?
Sure. What you want me to read? Which story?
Well, it was really hard to choose. See, I was trying to, and seeing a Trika was on. Yeah, because I picked out some I thought would be good to read, partially because they weren't that long, but I also thought that, like, because your stories are deep, that
Yeah.
you don't need to read the whole thing. I think you could read a little bit and then discuss it. I marked the one about hair because Trika, one of our other colleagues, had a show about hair like 2 weeks. Wait, were you on that one, Chandit?
No, I don't know. I think I was at work, but I saw she was on.
Did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I have that one queued up, so I can read that one. No problem.
Yeah, but I think what you might want to do is like read it, because I think it's hard to read a whole lot, or like maybe read a couple paragraphs, then we can discuss it.
Okay. All right. So the name of the story.
Oh, okay. Audience, this is Keisha Kanyal. Kanyal reading from Memoirs from a Daughter of Crackheads.
All right, and the title of the story is called Cloud 9. As a child, I had long, beautiful hair, thick and coal black. I received the most compliments about how lovely my hair was. Gail was never thrilled with my hair because it was way too much work for her. She never wanted to brush and comb it out, so it was always a tangled mess. As a little girl, I'd go weeks without getting my hair combed. There were times when my daddy would make an attempt to do something with it, but by that point, my hair would be so matted and so knotted that there was no other option but to cut the knots out. It really didn't help matters that I was tender-headed. I remember being 4 or 5 years old and being dropped off one summer day at my great-grandma Nana's house. Nana wanted to comb my hair, but felt she had to bribe me in order to get me to agree. She bribed me with my favorite foods, bananas and rice with butter. I can still hear her voice asking if I want a banana. I love the smell of the hair rep grease she used. My dad's mom was never thrilled. One time I was dropped off at her house on a Saturday night and I was supposed to go to church with her, my Granny King, the next day. "Why y'all ain't do nothing with this girl's head?" she said. Ha! Wasn't she in for a workout? I hollered the whole hour and there was not enough pops in the mouth with the brush in the world that was gonna shut me up. I was always lovely though when it was all said and done. I was a very beautiful brown girl. In the 3rd grade, Gail took me to the shop and got me a perm. I remember the smell and how it burned so bad. My hair was so pretty and beautiful afterward, but the whole family gave my mom shit over perming my hair. She would never have the money to keep it up. So the perm did way more damage to my hair than good. But by this time, I was in 7th grade at Frick Junior High, dead smack in the middle of East Oakland. Junior high school is brutal on a child, and I was no exception. 1986, the middle of the crack epidemic and the rap music revolution. If you were lucky, you had cool Adidas clothes, wore British Nike sweatsuits with the shoes to match, and wore Reeboks during gym. No, Reeboks were not your everyday walk around the hall shoes. Those were for gym only. Unfortunately, I was not a lucky one. I didn't have any of those things. Want me to keep going? I don't mind.
Yeah, please.
As a matter of fact, I was lucky if I even made it to school at all. At this time, we were living with Mr. Mao, a bona fide crack dealer. There was no question about it. He was an older man and resembled a dark-skinned George Jefferson. He was truly kind to me, though his home was no more a place for me than for a child. Though his home was no more a place for a child than Buddy's place. The difference was this guy was not a child molester. He had a lovely wife. I don't remember her name, but she looked like a Myrtle, so that's what I'll call her. She was not okay with her new lifestyle. I could see and feel her discomfort and could see Mr. Mound did not care. It wasn't the kind of house people came in and out of like some other homes I'd been to with my mom. This was an apartment complex that was more open and was similar to the famous Carter from the movie New Jack City. Before coming to this house, you had to call first. We stayed there long after Myrtle finally left Mr. Mound and had made ourselves comfortable in his house. I'm not sure whether or not he minded. If he did, he never showed it in front of me. On this particular day, my mom had been gone for several days. She'd come home and was in a happy mood. Who knows why? She looked at me and said, I'm going to do something different with your hair. I'm tired of looking at you with this sorry ass ponytail every day. Myrtle was still living there at this time and she was very fond of me. She took great care of me. I turned 12 with Myrtle. I'd been at Mr. Mound's with no parents in sight 3 days, and those were the most normal 3 days I'd had in a really long time. Myrtle and I would watch The Young and the Restless together and talk about the characters, where we thought their story would go. We'd hang out in the living room on the couch and we'd talk and watch all of the interesting people come and go. Someone had told Someone had sold Mr. Mound a Laserdisc player and several Laserdiscs for crack. So Myrtle and I would sit and we'd watch the movie Sybil with Sally Fields. I remember that movie the most. It had an impact on me. Even after Myrtle finally got the nerve to leave, I watched that movie over and over because it reminded me of her. My 12th birthday was just like any other day with Myrtle and I watching TV and Mr. Mound selling dope. Myrtle became more and more frustrated, and she would confide in me. She told me Mr. Mound liked to be with other women and give them free drugs, even though she was his wife, and oftentimes she was home. She told me things I thought were gross and funny, like how he used to dig in his nose and wipe the boogers on the blankets. Yep, making fun of Mr. Mound was how we spent the first half of my birthday. Want me to keep going?
That was funny. I'm like, oh no.
Right. Just imagine a 12-year-old girl sitting with this grown woman whose husband was in a back room selling dope and among other things in her presence. I remember that still like it's happening. And as I read, every time I read from my book, even if I'm just reading it from me, I'm always right there. like right there in that moment, like it's happening right there in that moment.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. If you want me to keep reading, I can. It's up to you.
Read a little more. Read some more.
You got it. Yep, making fun of Mr. Mound was how we spent the first half of my birthday. We thought for sure that my mom and dad would come for me that day. Well, we knew my mom might not, but my dad, who was a frequent customer, would surely come to buy drugs and at least say happy birthday, right? But we knew by nightfall that neither of them was coming. And this was the saddest birthday of my childhood. I was so very hurt. Myrtle tried to make it up to me by baking me a yellow cake with chocolate frosting. It's still my favorite, by the way, to this day because of her. She was a beautiful soul. I was the only thing keeping her in that house. 3 days after my birthday, the phone rang and I was told it was for me. It was my dad calling to say happy birthday. I no longer wanted his birthday wish, so I hung up on him. Literally seconds later, the phone rang again, also for me. Let me guess, my mom, right? Could those two crackheads be any more obvious? Any fool would know that they were together. They both wanted to pretend to care about me more than crack while sitting in the same damn room. Anyway, so now my mom wanted to experiment with my hair. Myrtle gave her the most piercing glare. You know, the what in the hell she about to do to this child now glare. And when Gail grabbed a chair from the small kitchen area and put it in front of the open front door, Myrtle finally asked what she was planning to do. Oh, I'm going to cut it and I'm going to give her layers and I'm going to make it cute.
No, I'm sorry, girl. I was there with you for a second.
I was really scared and I was sad. I didn't understand the whole it's just hair concept back then, and Gail had no clue what she was doing. So I sat in the chair. My mom found the scissors in the junk drawer in the kitchen. You know the junk drawer I'm talking about, the one with age-old coupons and even older crumbs in it. She pulled the crusty ass scissors out of that drawer. She had a comb and a brush, and then she started cutting away. Did I mention that my hair was thick? It was also very curly. So these short layers she thought she was cutting into my hair just looked like a puffball afro when she was done. She was so proud of herself. She stepped back and she smiled at her accomplishment. And Myrtle looked so sad. So I knew without looking that it was a mess. And the final result was my hair was still long in the back, but there were these weird, uneven so-called layers, short cuts in the front and all around. My mom then said, now when I get some money, I'm gonna buy a perm so we can tame this stuff. So I'd gotten up, went to the bathroom to see what had been done to me. And when I looked in the mirror, I was devastated. I closed the door and I cried. And when I opened the door, Myrtle was there and she was just as hurt as me. Then my mother started ranting, saying I was ungrateful and that she was trying to help me. She said I didn't appreciate her and what she was trying to do for me. She told me I needed to have some respect for her and her efforts to try to make me look as if I belonged in junior high school instead of a little fourth or fifth grader. I couldn't wait for her to leave again. She was never ever around too long. Next day, I went to school, and I don't remember how I got to school. I don't know how I got home either. I wasn't at school consistently though, and that's for sure, but somehow I got to school that day. I do remember walking down the street. Hang on one second, my computer's glitching. Okay, I do remember walking down the street, and just as I got to the front stairs at school, there was a girl there, Ebony, standing at the top of the stairs. She wasn't a beauty queen, and her appearance and hair wasn't all that on point. She always wore her hair in a ponytail, and the ponytail was about as long as my pinky finger, if that long. I can imagine my long hair created a little jealousy in her, and most girls for that matter. It was what Ebony did next that would change the remainder of my time in high school. Cloud nine, aha, ha, ha. Hey, look at her. Look at her. Her hair looked like a cloud, huh? Ha, ha, cloud nine. Over and over and over again, Ebony shouted at the top of her lungs. I found myself surrounded by laughing young teens looking at me as if I was a circus act. And I was so very embarrassed. I didn't know exactly what to do, so I did nothing. I just stood there and hung my head real low as everyone crowded around me and laughed while chanting, Cloud nine. And for the remainder of 7th through 9th grade, I was sometimes reminded of what Gail had done. And it took a long time, but eventually my hair did grow back. Years later, when I was 18, I ran into Ebony while she was working at KFC. And she knew who I was, and she spoke to me. But to this day, she has no idea the impact her taunting had on me. She will never know. She still had that same pinky lip ponytail. That gave me a little chuckle.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember that so well. Now I wonder where some of these people are today, but they really did stand on that. I don't know if any of you have ever seen or been to Frick Junior High, but when you walk down the street, there's some stairs to the school, just some, maybe about 10, 11 stairs. It's where everybody hung out on, at the beginning of school before the bell rang, everybody just kind of hung out there. So thinking back, I did not want to walk down that street. It's just interesting that I even made it to school that day at all. Of all days to make it to school, that day was the day that I made it to school. And that impacted me in a major way. Like it really did. Just having all these kids around me, just picture like kids of every grade surrounding you and just like taunting you basically. And you got to go through the rest of the day. I remember when I went to, I went to Skyline High, which was not, most of the kids from Frick didn't end up there. They either went to Fremont or Castlemont High in Oakland. So I remember being so happy to be able to go to Skyline because I wasn't going to have Cloud nine following me into high school because it taunted me through, all of junior high. So I was just like, please, like, I just didn't want to have to deal with Cloud nine in high school too. It was already hard enough. Yeah.
I'm mad at people I don't even know. I'm like, woo. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, that bullying is real like that.
The
That whole story.
details in your writing. I mean, you
I
know,
feel like
the
I'm in your
the
head.
rusty scissors in the junk drawer.
Right. Who says that? That's so dope. I felt like I was in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like why you doing that? Get out that drawer.
Yeah, everybody has a junk drawer,
Yeah.
or has had one, and
Yeah.
it gets messy with the pepper from the pizza and the Parmesan cheese and
All
Yeah.
coupon.
All of it. I
And the
Yeah.
scissors were in that drawer. I just, later on, my aunt actually, who eventually came and took over my raising, she cleaned me up and everything once she got me into a beauty shop. Her hairdresser, who literally got my hair growing. I wish I had a handy picture of my hair that I could share with y'all from when I was a little kid. It was very, very long and very, very big. Huge hair. And in my mom's defense, I did wear it in a ponytail pretty much every day because that was pretty much all I could manage to do for
Yeah.
myself at
Yeah.
that age. She wasn't always around to take care of it. In fact, she was never around to take care of it in those days. So it just made it harder for me to manage when it was cut like that because I couldn't just pull it back in a ponytail anymore. It was just like she was trying to give me, if you remember the time, she was trying to give me that mushroom cut. You know what I mean? Where it's a mushroom on the top and then you have like this tail in the back. That's what she was attempting to do.
Oh no.
And so it didn't quite turn out the way. Yeah. I'll
That
see if
would
I can find a
hurt.
picture.
I mean, oh my God, like, trying to like get scissors through. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. I'm gonna see while you guys talk. I'm gonna see if I can find a image just so you can get an idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so deep. I mean, it's just a book that there's just so much emotion in just a couple pages. You think about like, wow, it's like the person that is kind to a child. Oh,
Can you see all that hair though?
yeah.
See it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was little girl Keisha, but like I just had all this. This is probably 5th grade Keisha, and I don't know if you can see that braid there and how long it was.
I can see your cowl neck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
See
Yeah.
if I can turn the light away. So you can kind of see how long that braid is. If you look at the picture from the cover of my book, this image that you just looked at is where the inspiration came from. For that, you can see it's the same hairstyle.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, the person that is kind to a child and spend some time with them, that kid's going to remember them forever.
Yeah.
Right.
You probably weren't even like, how much time did you even spend with Myrtle? Not that long, I bet.
We were at that house for a very long time, but she finally mustered up the courage to leave and do better for herself. She moved to Madeira. I remember that. And I was very happy for her, but I probably spent maybe 6 months with her. I feel like she would have left even sooner if it weren't for me. Like
Probably.
she was ready to go, but then here's this little girl who's just always there and her parents aren't. And, I think she literally stayed for me. I will forever be grateful for her. I can't even remember her name. It's the only reason why I call her Myrtle. And I'm kind of glad I can't remember her name because I don't know if I would want to expose her, but she was just a beautiful person, a beautiful human. I will never forget her, ever.
Well, yeah, I mean, 6 months, and it's just, I mean, the person that's going to sit there with a child and just be there and watch and watch TV, it's not even like she was doing all sorts of stuff or buying you stuff or anything, just attention. Children just need, that's what children need.
Yeah.
She
just literally just sat with me. And I'm just thinking, gosh, what she must have been thinking, because all of this was new to her too. And it's funny, I'm only thinking of that right now You know, crack was very new. You know, it was very new in those days in the 80s. And so it was new for her. You know, one minute she had a devoted husband, and the next thing you know, she had something that she didn't sign up for. And, you know, I actually have a lot of respect for her. Like, she tried, and, you know, beautiful human she was. Beautiful.
That
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
touching. Very touching.
Yeah. You know, yeah, I mean, it makes me think back to people I know in my life. And, you know, I mean, I worked with kids for a long time, and so I would think with some of them that, you know, that there was so much going on with them. And I just felt like, okay, I hope that I want to be the person that they'll look back and remember that somebody did care.
Yeah.
Or that I just felt sometimes like, okay, well, that was all I could do, is just try and interject some kindness into their world. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Because it is what it's what I needed.
Yeah.
And I think that there are kids going through this now.
Oh, yeah.
And they definitely need it. And I think that a lot of times it was easier for me as a kid because there was less social media. There was no there was no social media. So
Yeah.
today, you know, I think about the kids who try to get their validation through social media, followers, likes, etc. And there's less human interaction for them. And they don't even want it oftentimes, don't think they need it. I just based off of my own experiences and knowing what I needed, I definitely think that kids today need human interaction. And COVID didn't help, you know, not to go back on that subject,
No, I
but
mean,
it didn't help.
It has something to do with it. You're right. It didn't help. It did not
Yeah,
help.
because I think of my 7-year-old son who homeschooled. Think of a 7-year-old who, you know, a 6-year-old, we'll go back, you know, a 6-year-old who shows up for school one day and then goes home and doesn't see his friends again for over a year. No human interaction besides the people within his household for over a year. And I'm just thinking the depression that causes. So my son is not an at-risk kid. He has a mother, you know, who's, you know, not a drug addict. So, but think about that child who's struggling with, you know, mental health issues for whatever reason, whether it's because they don't get the support at home that they need, but now you're here and you're here every single day for over a year. No social, no friends, no nothing, no nothing. If COVID showed me nothing else, is that the importance of human interaction. But for me, Myrtle was that, because I didn't have that either. I didn't go to school every day. I went to school whenever somebody could get me there and pick me up, you know? So I know what it was like to miss that human interaction. If you've read my book, you know I spent a lot of time alone.
Yeah.
It was just me, you know? So I kind of get where these kids.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, Keisha.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm still listening to you, but I have to go out camera because my dog gave me a present.
Aww.
my dog gave me a present. If anybody know what that means, and I'm still here, so I'm just gonna, you know, I'll be right back. So keep talking.
Worry.
Did you keep a diary when you were a kid?
I did not. I didn't start writing or keeping a journal, oh man, until I was like in my later teens, like maybe 17 or 18.
Yeah.
So it didn't even cross my mind to write even in those days. Honestly, the only thing I was thinking about in those days was survive. Because I was, you know, I spent my childhood in survival mode. So
yeah. If somebody given you a diary, you probably would have, I mean, because that is survival for a lot of people. I'm sure that your mind was like moving constantly, I guess, to care for yourself.
For sure.
Processing in a way.
Definitely. Depending on where I was and where I was living at the time. You know, when I was at Mr. Mound's house, I felt safer because you could tell within that he was a good person in there. He just came across a way to make a lot of money really fast and ran with it. But he was a great human being. There was a good, like, Myrtle was a good human being, and she was attracted to him, and they were married for a long time. So it's just that the man she knew disappeared. You can tell he was still in there somewhere. So I felt safe. If he didn't want me there, he never once showed it in front of me. He would engage me, he would communicate with me. I felt safe. However, there were other houses that I was at that
Yeah.
was the opposite of safe. And I had to always be watching my back. I had to always be making sure, like I was like you said, always on alert, like, okay, sleeping with one eye open most of the time, like what's happening, like, or what's gonna happen, like no safety whatsoever. So beyond survival mode, it was more like, like, what do I gotta do to make sure that I'm alive tomorrow morning? So it was, Mr. Mouse House felt great for me. I just wasn't always there. It wasn't like our mainstay. We were there sometimes and then we weren't,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Yeah, what inspired all of this? Like, what made you say, you know what, I gotta write about all this? Like, what just moved you to do all that and to like tell the story?
It's so interesting because I get this question with every interview, and I don't know why it just feels so hard for me to answer because, and I guess the real answer is I don't really know. I feel like I was moved by something bigger than me.
Right.
I had people telling me that, you should write. Like I would tell people, bits and pieces of my story. Oh, when I was a kid, I had this happen. Like people would be like, what? Like, oh, you could write a book. I feel like a lot of people hear that, like, right, you can write it, just write it. I don't know though. I can't
Not
really.
that easy. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when that's not what you wanted to do in your life. Like if there are people who want to be authors, who grow up and say, I want to write one day. That was never me. I just happen to have an interesting story. I don't know what made me one day sit down and start writing, but I had a lot of encouragement. I had people, who were saying, you should write, or, this is a great story. You have a fantastic story. I think it would help some people, but I can't really pinpoint the real reason why I sat down and said, let me just type this story out. I started with one story.
That is a reason though in itself.
Yeah.
Like you said, it was a driving force, something set you down to do it. And some of the most beautiful things are things you can't explain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. That's so true.
Because I don't even know how I even do some of the stuff I do, so I get where you're coming from. I was just curious because I always thought about writing a book, but I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. I don't know how to do that. I'm just always so impressed with, someone being an author, you know what I mean? Especially a Black woman. Like, I'm just like blown, like I love that. I really want to get like a copy.
Yeah, we need to put down the information for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, first of all, whenever somebody tells me that they want to write, I always say, do it. Do it. Because even if you don't publish, writing this book helped me heal before I could ever publish it. Like the book had been written for a long time, for a lot of years before it was a lot of steps involved. Like as far as you were saying, as far as where to start, for me, I do remember that. I was like, I didn't know where to start either. I was like, what do I do? And I just picked an incident from my childhood, which ended up being the first story in my book. I picked an incident, like what would be interesting to tell people? How did I first even come to know what this drug is? I'm gonna tell that story. And it ended up being it's probably my favorite story because of the details. I write about how the trees smell. You can, about how, what the sun looked like when, when I moved the couch into the doorway because the PG&E was off, or like this. Oh man, it was just so. And I hit the ground. Once you write that first story, it's smooth sailing from there. It's like it's smooth sailing from there.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I like that. And I want a book. I want a book. I want a book because there's some things in your book, some of the things that you were reading that I relate to, like as far as dealing with people around you that had drugs and, things like that, and being exposed to certain things and, molestation, all that type of stuff. And it's like I always was scared to tell my story because I didn't want to hurt nobody. But then I felt like when I started writing in journals, I was healing, so
Yeah.
I'm like, well, forget y'all, I got, I gotta write what I gotta write. So it's like hearing that, you just kind of, you put some hands on my back. Cause I mean, I'm doing a lot, but you put some hands on my back. Cause I'm like, I'm inspired.
Yeah,
by
do
that.
it. Write it.
Yeah,
If you
I'm
write your story,
inspired.
it's gonna inspire somebody.
Yeah.
But there's phases, like you said, hurting people. That was probably phase like 23. It's the reason why the book was finished for 3 years before I published it, because I was like, okay, now what? Now what? My mom, my dad, my aunt, it took a while to move past. And the thing that got me past that was I'd started a nonprofit, and that nonprofit is to help youth. And I had to decide what was important to me.
Right.
And what I decided was that my book helping other youth who are going through it, or even adults who
Yeah.
went through it, to know that they're not alone. To me, that was more important than how my family was going to feel about what I was saying. And I wouldn't have a story to write if it didn't happen.
Okay. I like that right there. I wouldn't even have nothing to say. I wouldn't be who I am. None of that.
Correct.
So yeah, I'm with that. I definitely.
It took a while though to get to that place, and sometimes my heart still breaks for like my dad, because my dad was my hero as a kid, and he is my hero today. And so I remember I called my dad and was like, he knew about the book and he knew what I was writing about, but he didn't read it. And he was like, yeah, go ahead. I understand, and it's healing for you, and blah, blah, blah. I didn't even get a chance to say what the title was, none of that. So when I started promoting it on social media and he saw, I got a phone call like, what happened? What is this? Oh man, I felt that my heart broke.
That were mad. You had people that were mad.
My dad wasn't necessarily mad. He was just caught off guard. He was so surprised. Like, even though I called him and gave him that warning, he was just very shocked by the title and by the cover art. It's very strong cover art, a very strong title. I wanted it that way though. I wanted it to be that if a fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, or grader was walking in a bookstore and saw my book on the shelf and was like having issues like I had, and they saw that cover, I wanted them to be the one to pick it up. Because, usually that's going to be the person who picks this book up. The one with, with the crack pipe on it and, like this little girl sitting inside. That's going to attract somebody who is curious about knowing what that little girl went through. I was trying, it was intentional, but my dad was just very shocked by it. So he's very proud of me. He's, it took a conversation to get there, but he's very proud, and he's, happy I did it. And, my dad has his own story. He has the comeback story of the century because he did get his life together. He did it in the 90s and he's been okay ever since. He even was a drug counselor after he got himself together. I remember being a teen and we used to have a hotline coming through our home where me and my stepsister couldn't even talk on the phone during certain times of the day because it was only open for people to call. And my dad would like be their person, like, you don't got to do this. Like he'd be their one. He'd be the one like trying to talk them off the ledge. And so I'm also very proud of him. He excelled in his career in a major way, created a family for himself. Man, if you read my book and see where he was and know where he is, it's absolutely, he's still my hero to this day. He is still very much my hero. But he just was like, whoa, like he was just very surprised. Yeah.
Well, I'm proud of you. So,
thank you.
Yeah. So keep it up. You know what I mean?
I will.
I'm proud of that.
I will.
Yeah, I had some time to come in and listen with you guys.
I just put down all the information I could in all
No,
the,
you sent me something. I think I got it. I think you
yeah,
sent me something, so I got it.
yeah, I have it in the comments on Facebook and on the YouTube. I have the link, and people like buy the book, people. I mean, support artists, support independent voices. It's just so important, and that people
Yes.
see, like you're saying, Keisha. I mean, somebody's going to come into a bookstore and see this and just feel like this is talking to me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point. I wanted the title to be strong like that intentionally. I wanted the cover art. I remember working with my cover artist, Carrick Adams, who is the dopest human being ever. But I remember telling him my vision. I just was like, yeah, I'm looking for somebody to, do some art for my book. It's not conventional. I remember saying that to him. This is not your conventional request. What I want is a girl inside of a crack pipe trying to get out, is what I said. Literally, that's how I felt though.
So it was your idea. I mean, so the image, you came up with the image. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did. I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew it because I wanted it to be how I felt.
Yeah.
So
love it.
As a little girl, I felt like I was like in the midst of this adult world and all surrounded by crack, So I needed the cover to reflect that. So I told him that. I said, I want that. So he did a sketch of it. And honestly, his pencil sketch looked so perfect. I thought that was it. So when he sent it to me, I was like, yeah, this is perfect. Can you change your hair and do this? It was so perfect. He changed it. And then when I said, okay, that's what I want, he sent me the final image. I didn't even know I wanted this until he sent it to me. I was like, this is so beautiful. That little girl's me. I cried that day. I was like, oh my God, like, that's me. That's me in there. Like, wow. Yeah.
Well, look, you went through a lot. A lot of times people don't understand. A lot of us that's gone through a lot, those blessings hit different, later on in life. You know what I mean? They hit way different than privilege. You know what I mean? Like,
so true.
Like, yeah, how did I get out? You know what I mean? So I think you thinking in your mind, I'm like, that trying to get out thing, that I need to get out, and then just bringing that to life. That's you being an artist yourself. You know what I mean? Like, even to think of something so creative like that just for the cover of your book, it's kind of like it's like you can get that image of what the book is going to be about by the cover, and a lot of people miss that mark, but that I can definitely get that mark. You know what I mean? Like, why this little girl trying to get out the crack pipe? You know what I mean? Like, I definitely would pick that up because a lot of people get turned off a little bit because certain things are disturbing to them because people don't want to face reality.
But then it's not for you.
It's not for you. Right. It's not for you. It's for the clones. Yeah.
Yep.
So
I have to tell people that all the time. Like, if you're offended by my book cover, then it wasn't meant for you. It really don't even read the book.
It's for me. So I'm gonna read it.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you'll love it. You'll love it, Shantae. And the music, the clothes, the food. I mean, it's a sensual book. I mean, that's just partially why, the apartments, it just has so much feeling and presence. It's like you're there. I mean, I would love to see somebody fucking option it to be, it should be a movie.
Working on it.
Right? Good.
Working on it. Also, I'm working on some other cool stuff too.
Pray. That's
right? Yeah, working on it. I'm working on it. I have a lovely, most wonderful, perfect mentor. I think everybody needs a mentor, but who's like helping me and pushing me along in that area, who I definitely appreciate. But I'm working on some other cool things too. Like, I'm putting together my own YouTube channel where I get people all the time who just ask me, like, they'll be reading my book. I can always tell where people are in my book by the questions that people ask. They'll just send me a message, especially when it's like a coworker or something. They'll send me a message like, oh my gosh, did this really happen? Or which Jack in the Box was it? Or where, blah, blah, blah. It's just so interesting. So I decided that I'm gonna do some on location type stuff. I'm gonna actually go to 5 different places that I mentioned in my book, and just kind of share my story while just standing in front of some of these places, just so that people can connect it. Because I know that those are the main questions I get. Like, what happened to this person? What happened to that person? You know, I put together a YouTube channel where I can answer some of those questions for some people.
I love that
So,
idea.
Oh yeah, because I mean, it's kind of like said a lot that I mean, cities are characters. So it's like Oakland is a character in the
Oh, yeah,
story.
it is.
It's so yeah, God, it would be such a great film just showing well, shit. I mean, they couldn't film in Oakland now. It looks so different, but
it definitely looks different.
Yeah,
Like,
Oakland is a lot different than what I remember.
yeah. So they'd have to figure something. Well, they'd have to figure something out.
Like, even when I was doing the research for the YouTube channel, I'm like, okay, I want to go, like, in my story, there's a story called Jack in the Box, and I'll just give you a little bit of
last time.
Yeah. But for those who wasn't there, it's basically a story about how my mom took me, or told me I was hungry. I hadn't eaten in a long time, and she'd come home after not being home for a while and say that we were going to go to Jack in the Box. And I was so happy, and I got all dressed, and we left. We went on a journey. We made a pit stop along the way, and then we left and hit the bus to go to Jack in the Box. And when we got there, she said that we were no longer going to Jack in the Box, that we were leaving, which the pit stop was a drug stop, and she spent the money is what happened. So anyway, I'm sitting at this Jack in the Box at this bus stop, and directly across the street from me was McDonald's, and I was hungry. I was just this hungry little 4th grade girl who just needed some food, right? So I decided that I would go to this Jack in the Box and kind of do what I just did here, and tell about how I was feeling in the moment. But we went online and did a Google. There's no more bus stop in front of that Jack in the Box. The McDonald's is still across the street, but there's a building directly in front of it, so you can't see it anymore. And in those days, it was a parking lot. For anybody who knows Oakland, it was on East 14th, between High Street and Fruitvale, somewhere in between there, on 14th Ave. So there's a Jack in the Box there, and then it's where the old Montgomery Wards was, if anybody who was here in those days. And and there was a bus stop on one side, a bus stop on the other, and there were, like, they don't even have those seats anymore. When we did the Google, like, God, we're gonna have to stand here and talk now.
Like I said, I was like I said, it has changed. It has changed. I drove out there one time. I didn't know where I was at. I was like, wait a second now.
It's beautiful.
So, it is beautiful. It's just like some stuff isn't there anymore. But that's like any town,
True.
so things happen. But no, I definitely remember what you're talking about, though. I'm like, wow, that was minutes ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I think there's a Dollar Tree right there now. It wasn't there in those days. It was just an empty parking lot back in those days. And now you can't even see the McDonald's.
I miss Oakland. I need to go back.
Oakland has its own vibe, its own feel, its own everything. Oakland. Yeah.
I haven't been in a while. The last time I went was probably about 4 years ago. And that's when I had noticed some things were different, but I definitely have a lot of memories. It has a lot of culture. Oakland has
definitely.
Yeah.
If you even watch the show Snowfall, they go to Oakland in the very first season of that show. I thought that was so huge. I mean, it was huge. Snowfall, a TV show about how crack came to be, how it got started.
Snowfall. I thought it was real.
It was real.
It's real.
It was so real. I was nauseated watching it sometimes. Yeah. I would have it was too real.
For real. I was like, you better go show. You better tell the story. And,
right.
We're gonna look for that.
A lot of people can't handle that show. No, a lot of people can't handle it. It's a lot. They go there.
Like it made me very nauseous, especially that first season,
Yeah,
especially when they were in Oakland. It was
yeah,
like, whoa, like, okay. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
They go there. They go
yeah,
there. That's a brilliant show though. I like it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I totally recommend it.
Aw, I like this conversation.
So Shantae, you got a show coming up, right?
Well, yeah, another one. It's gonna be with Roselle and Jay Fetty and Mr. Nasty.
I'm coming on, man. I told.
Yeah, like you're gonna be one of the guests. You gotta come on there. You got to, but it's gonna be open, like how you kind of like everyone's open to talk and no issues and stuff like that. It's gonna
No
be
drama.
and no drama. Is gonna be the same vibe. But yeah, so Keisha, the
Mhm.
Jay Fetty and Nasty, Thug Nasty, they're part of they're our comrades too. So
Okay.
I hope that it's gonna be on Friday. So I hope that you would, come and check it out if you have time. And
Absolutely. I would love to. I just
yeah,
need
On
the
this channel,
information.
right?
yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
nice. Paris, Ro is gonna be with us, and it's just gonna be dope. It's gonna be
Okay.
dope. Yeah, but we get crazy. Okay,
Okay.
so
I can do crazy.
knowing from what your book was talking about, I know you ready. You know what I mean? So it's
I
all right.
am.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope though, and this is gonna be a good vibe. Good family vibe, and everybody's just gonna be comfortable
How
and
do I
just
get the link to go to
yeah, I'm
join?
gonna send you. Yeah, so when I get off of here, just contact me.
Okay.
Like send me a friend request or something
Hmm.
on Facebook or something, and
Okay.
we can chit chat or
Sounds
whatever.
good.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Cool.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
yeah. And then I'll send you, it will be on this channel.
Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, so
Oh,
if you
okay.
subscribe to Rose channel, then you'll get an
yeah,
alert. Yeah.
Okay.
definitely.
Perfect.
So you'll see it. Yeah. So, but we have
Okay.
lots to chit chat about. So yeah, just as when we get off, we'll just link up.
Got it. Sounds good.
Can you
Sounds
want to
good.
read what you want to read another one? Keisha?
Sure.
Or-
Tell me which one you want.
Okay.
Right back.
Um, it wasn't all bad.
Okay. Hold on. Let's find it.
Heather Blevins. Hey, woman. I want you to come on the show, okay? Thank you for listening.
All right. I've got it queued up. You ready?
Yes. Okay, everybody. This is Keisha Kanial reading from Memoirs from a Daughter of Crackheads. Memoirs of a Daughter of Crackheads.
All right. So it wasn't all bad. I had the best life, BC, before crack. It didn't matter that I believed my mom didn't like me, and it didn't matter why she didn't like me either, because my daddy loved me. He was the best daddy, my papi. He was my favorite human being in the whole wide world. I remember being really young, maybe 4 or 5 years old, riding in my daddy's old yellow Camaro. My mom was driving. We only had one car. My daddy worked nights as a janitor during this time. Me and my mom were driving to the college he cleaned to pick my daddy up from work. I remember listening to Ashford and Simpson on the radio. 1 second. Okay, here we go. My computer sometimes glitches. Sorry. I didn't care that it was 6 a.m. I just wanted to see my daddy. I remember going through the tunnel that connects Oakland to Alameda. I can't go nowhere. I don't know my name. Played in the darkness of the tunnel. The smell of old leather and cigarettes lingered around me as I sat on the hump of the back seat, excited to see my most favorite person. I have very few memories of like that of my mom. She wasn't kind to me like my daddy was, but I do remember her clothes. I remember when I was 8 years old, I'd play in my mom's closet just like any other girl. My mom had the prettiest red and white polka dot dress. I loved that dress. I mean, it had an 80s style puff sleeves and The bottom had
I'm in my
ruffled
head.
layers.
I'm like, I'm like, ooh, yes, now.
It
Thank
was
you for
fit
this
for a
picture.
princess. I'd put on
Yeah.
that dress and my mom's red heels and spin and spin and spin some more. Later that year, my mom surprised me with a dress that looked just like that dress for Christmas. It was so awesome. We were both princesses. It was kind of a tradition for us. We hadn't dressed alike in the previous Christmases, but we had worn the same colors, black and white. My memory of Granny Strong are mixed. She was a hard working lady. She was a beautiful, well put together lady. When I was really little, she worked for the Blue Cross building in downtown Oakland. She didn't drive. She took the bus everywhere. Once I got to go with her to work. What I remember most about that day was watching her get ready. She had a great figure. She wore girdles, and I never understood why, because I thought she was she had the most perfect figure. She wore tight dresses and skirts and stockings and the highest of highest heels. She always wore nice smelling perfume too. On this day, we got off the bus in front of the tallest building I'd ever seen. It was so tall, it was tall to me at least. I had to tilt my head all the way back to see the top of it. I was probably 6 or 7 years old at the time. We got into an elevator, and when we got off, there were many other well put together ladies working away while sitting at desks that looked exactly like the ones my daddy used to clean. I was then introduced to all of Granny's friends. This is my granddaughter, she would say to anybody wondering. And when we left, my granny bought me a hot pastrami sandwich from the man running the cart just outside the building. I was close to Granny, but I really only wanted to be around her if my aunt was also around. My aunt was my second favorite human next to my daddy. She was just 10 years older than me, and she was in high school at Oakland High, and she was so beautiful. I wanted to be just like her. She was a cheerleader and would teach me cheers so that when I got to Oakland High and became a cheerleader, I would already know what to do. She ate sunflower seeds and pomegranates, so I wanted to do that. She showed me a trick once, turning on the gas stove and touching the fire. Touching the fire. She was magical. She had a cute boyfriend who drove a cool reddish orange sports car, and I'd go with them to cool places like Berkeley on Telegraph near the university, where she shopped at Miller's Outpost and Leopold's Records. She was my hero, perfect in every way. When my granny and grandpa Pete separated, Granny and my aunt lived with us. This would remain an on and off theme for the rest of my life. I loved my aunt and granny, but when they were living with us in our household, the dynamic shifted. They'd attempt to control me in ways that my parents didn't. And as much as I loved my aunt, I hated having her and granny living with us. In response, I deliberately wielded my power. My dad didn't allow anyone to put their hands on me, and I would do things to intentionally anger granny and my aunt to make them respond by hitting me. And then I would tell my dad, and he would not have that. I was his precious girl. Once I even drew a picture of my aunt sleeping on the couch with an X through it while at school one day, and my teacher showed it to my mom and dad. My aunt and granny got a place of their own shortly afterwards. And at such a young age, I thought I'd won some kind of game. Things were not always rosy. Excuse me. Things were not always rosy between my mom and dad. There was the one Thanksgiving at age 7. The night before, we went to Granny's house to help cook while my dad was at work. But my mom suddenly left. Who knows where she went? She had no idea that my dad would be getting off work early. It was Thanksgiving. Of course, he wouldn't be working the whole day. When he arrived at Granny's house and Gail wasn't there, he was livid. He waited all night for her to show up. Sorry. I remember that like it was yesterday. He waited all night for her to show up. And when she strolled in the next morning and saw my dad sitting there, she knew she'd really messed up. We immediately left Granny's house and headed home. Oh man, that was one long car ride. It was completely silent. And when we got home, my dad yelled at me to go into my bedroom and turn on the parade, which I did. And then he slammed the door. Then all I could hear was yelling, screaming, and stuff crashing. And at one point, my mother yelled, "Keisha, help me." My dad replied, "Keisha, if you come out that room, I'm going to beat your ass too." So I sat there, my stomach churning as I watched the parade. Until writing this, I always saw my childhood as amazing, but I am slowly discovering that this was quite a bit of toxicity within my family.
Okay.
I still have very fond memories of my daddy taking me to work with him and sitting at an office desk with highlighters and markers while he cleaned, and then cleaning up after me when he was done with his work. I don't remember much about having my tonsils taken out when I was 4, but I do remember my daddy driving all the way home to get my stuffed Mickey Mouse and hurrying back to the hospital so I could sleep with it. I remember my daddy teaching me to tie my shoes and put them on the right foot. The curve goes in the middle, he would say, and I taught my kids the same way. I remember one Halloween when I was 6 crossing the Bay Bridge into San Francisco at dusk while listening to the song Zoom by the Commodores. I don't have these kinds of memories with Gail, but my daddy sure did love me. He showed me every day, and I loved him back too. It wasn't all bad.
No.
That story was probably one of the last ones I wrote because, and I wrote it like not that long ago, not long before publishing. And it was because my book was so sad that I felt like I needed to give my characters, even though they're like my real life family members, but I feel like I needed to give some background on who they were and how we related to one another, and, you know, who my daddy was to me and who my mother was to me, my granny, my aunt. It was important to provide that context. And so, yeah, I felt like after reading my book, it was important to add this story so that people could know, like, this is what my relationship with my mother was before the crack, or my daddy, or my granny, or whoever, you know, this is what it was. Fun fact, my daddy used to take me to work with him all the time, mostly because he was afraid to leave me at home with my mother, who just didn't like me, period. As a little kid, she just did not like me at all. And my dad knew that. And so to protect me, he would take me with him wherever he went, if he could, you know. So I spent a lot of nights with my daddy at work. And there's a reason why he was my favorite person. I think that kids gravitate to who they feel they can receive the most love from.
Oh,
And so for me, that was my daddy.
Right.
Still is my daddy.
Nice. Oh,
Hey,
wow.
how you going? How's it going, Trika?
Hey y'all. I've been listening, but I've been trying to do some things around the house. And I was like, okay, let me get settled and then I'll tap in. But Keisha,
Yes.
so many things you said.
Oh,
We kind of go into on my podcast.
yeah,
but-
okay.
It's just crazy how first to go back, and I'm kind of going backwards, but I'm
Okay.
going back forward. The hair struggle and that trauma, that's something that I don't think we ever can let go of that. And I don't think that people realize all the levels to it. It's not just, oh, people don't like my afro. It's people don't know how to take it and accept it. Even your own family don't know how to deal with it. Like you said, my first thing my mom wanted to do was perm my hair when I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
And that was just because it was easier for her.
Yep.
But she didn't realize the damage it was doing to me physically and mentally.
Yeah.
My hair's not good enough like this. Why isn't it good enough like this? This is how it grows out of my head. This is where it's supposed to be like.
That's right.
It's that black, you know, that programming. Like, if it ain't straight, it ain't great. Like, oh, but that's not true. We come in different shapes and sizes and forms.
So true.
It took me a lot to even step into my own power and be like, I'm not perming my hair no more.
Yeah.
I got so much restriction from friends and family, like, you not gonna perm your hair? Look at your hair. Like, that has nothing to do with me.
Something to say. Ooh,
Yes.
Yeah.
It took me a lot to just get over that.
Let me be me. Let me be me. Let me be in my own. Like you say, I gotta have to come into my own.
Yeah.
Come into your own strength and be like, you know what? Everybody else is just a bunch of this. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I got to do what I need to do. You can't try to do what you think I'm supposed to look like and feel and all that other stuff. You can't do that. And we had to deal with that with a lot of parents. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
I did. Like,
you
for my
can't-
mom, I think
Yeah.
for her, she just was lazy. She just didn't. My hair was really big and long, and she
And let
was
me
just
tell you, you have
didn't
some
want to do it.
beautiful hair. You have beautiful hair.
Thank you.
I was looking at those pictures and like, why would they think anything other than that is beautiful?
Yeah. Just lazy. Didn't want to deal with it. And even today, like I have my little puff ball. It's gray. It's everything else. But
beautiful. I tell people all the time, I just want to go all gray and just be one of them grandmas with the gray pearl, little shiny gray hair. You know what I mean?
I think that would look cute. I think that would look nice.
It's cute.
Yeah. I love my little gray hair, but I still like, I like all kinds of hair. I like straight, I like curly, I like afro, I like it all. So when I want straight hair, I'll slap a wig on.
It's your choice, but it's your choice.
Exactly. I don't. Exactly. Like I'll wear my hair straight, I'll put a wig. If I don't, I'll wear this. Sometimes I'll wear a head wrap. I like hair is for me as an accessory. And then being a breast cancer survivor,
right,
and losing all of my hair. Again, it was like being re-traumatized, to be really honest with you. And honestly, I feel like all of it is connected, but that's another story for another day. I will say that it felt so, it wasn't like my mama cutting a few layers into my hair.
Oh, that mushroom cut, girl. I heard that story.
Yeah. But I was bald. And so that was like, it was like, whoa, it's a completely different thing emotionally on an emotional level. But always coming back to hair. Like, why is hair so emotional for Black people? But it is,
It is. It is. It still is to this very day. There's still, a lot of struggles behind it. And I think more or less now, a lot more people come into the natural side. But a lot of that, I feel like it's trendy. Because, it's trendy. It's on the commercials now. So now I could be natural, like, no. You should have been doing what you don't do.
To do that. You know what I mean? Like my dude, he greased my scalp.
Yeah.
And I take it all off and he greased my scalp. You know what I mean? And I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it should have never been where when I wear my hair in different styles, I'm model. So I wear my hair in different styles all the time. Yeah. And I protect my hair with wigs sometimes. Yep. You know what I'm saying? But I love my hair how it is. You know what I'm saying? I got big hair. You know what I mean? But it's like it's my choice.
Yeah.
I can't. I think
get emotional about our hair.
Like her hair, I really think like a lot of Black women are scared to wear their hair like that because they like, well, if I don't, it's not the typical look or something like that. But who the fuck said that? You know what I mean?
No. And then it's not only just that, it's just that the judgment that you get, the prejudgment you get from people walking down the street. I live in a predominantly white neighborhood in San Diego. I walk down the street, my afro every day, different ways, different styles. Like today is kind of wrapped up because I didn't want to touch it. But I see the heads turn, and the looks like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's negative or positive, but it's like, wow, they look at me like I'm,
Yeah. Right. Not used to it.
Not used to it.
You beautiful, that's all. Don't worry.
Oh, very.
Oh, thank you, Tay.
Very.
Can't handle that because some people wish they had hair like that. You know what I mean? So they just.
I think that's the reason why I was the joke that day at school because I had all that beautiful hair before that day, and then when my mom went to cut it, oh, absolutely. So then when
I went through the same shit with girls when I was growing up. Like, why? What's the point? Oh, it's because my hair. You think my hair is prettier than yours, and the only way for you to deal with it is to make fun of me.
On somebody about that's a weird thing to hate on somebody about. That is so. Are you
but teenagers are so like
what the hell?
Cool, and they don't.
I think it's a learned behavior, though. We learned that from our parents or from our family members who carried that from their generation and from the generation before that. So if no generation ever sat down and tried to tackle it, we just keep on passing that destructive, toxic way of thinking of ourselves on and on and on. And I said, I'm gonna stop mine right here. I'm not about to keep pushing this.
Right.
Good for you. Good for you.
But you are a very strong woman. You survived, like you said, living in survival mode. That's a struggle in itself. Like a lot of people don't make it through because that's too much. You live in fear all the time. But
and you fight or flight. And again, another story for another day. But I believe that's probably how my breast cancer came to be because you spend so much time within your body. And people don't understand how the mind and the body connect with one
Yes.
another. It's no, my molestation started in the breast. So it wasn't far-fetched that
Right.
my cancer occurred in my breast. So I just
Right.
think that a lot of people need to start thinking about how they think and how they talk into themselves every time they think something or say something, and you
Right.
communicating with you and you feeding you. You gotta start
Nobody
feeding
thinks
you
about
something different. Otherwise, we not gonna make it. You're gonna make yourself
Yeah.
sick with all this stress and
And I did. I
Yeah.
definitely did. And a
yeah.
lot of that was from me being abused and the molestation. Like a lot of my problems were reproductive.
Yeah.
And it was like once I started to heal my mind and not just think about my body, all that stuff started working itself out. And it wasn't no drugs that did it. It wasn't no operations that did it. It was I had to realize that all this is connected. You can't heal your mind and not heal your body.
Yes.
You got to make it together.
Yes, that is a fact. And that's my next book. It's from I'm only writing two. This one and another one. And the next one will mostly connect the dots. It'll be about parenting while healing this trauma and, the things that have happened to me in my body. So the cancer, or how I'm raising my kids, how my past experiences affect how I now parent, or choices that I make in men, or
right,
all kinds of things that I'm affected by because of these things that happened in this book. I'm gonna write that second book, and that's gonna be it. I'm done.
And one of the biggest keys that I took away from something you said earlier is don't try to sit down and write the whole book. Start with the story or two, because I've been trying to write a book for the past 2 years, and I'm trying to put it all together in my head instead of breaking it down and making it a story. You gotta start little by little and build it. So you gave me some good tips to okay, I could do this. Just slow down. Everything ain't gonna come together all together. You gotta do it piece by piece. So
people do.
Keisha has writing music too. She talked about that. Yeah. So
I do. I wrote a lot of music. I think though that people get value from outlining a book out in the beginning, especially people who went to school. They just knew they wanted to be authors from the moment they, I want to be an author when I grew up, when they were little. And then they, go to school for it and they're trained and you outline. That just didn't work for me at all. I tried that. It didn't work for me at all. It was much easier for me to be like, that's a short story. And I also knew how I wanted to tell it. Like I knew that I wanted my book to come across like, girl, look at this thing that happened to me when I was a kid. One time my mama did this. We went for a walk and blah, blah, blah. I knew that that's how I wanted my book to come across. And sometimes you just can't outline that. Like,
right.
It's like
I wanted to be a conversation amongst me and me and a friend. Like, look, let me tell you this.
Yes, that's how my book comes across. Or that's how I wanted it to come across. I hope it comes across.
It comes off like that. I mean, I just feel like, and then I'm sorry, like, it's like no offense to no one, but just being a Black author.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like we need more of that. You know what I mean? Because it's such a raw story over and over again. You had me thinking like Chica was talking about. You know what I mean? Like you just had me like, wait, I'm going down my own memory lane here. You know what I mean? So there's a gang of people that really gonna relate to that, because a lot of times we don't tell our story. But when you read somebody else's story, it's like, okay, well, you know what? That sounds a little familiar. You know what I mean?
I get that a lot.
I could tell it inspires people to say, hey, you know what? You know what I mean? I'm gonna speak about something here.
Right.
So that's a lot of guts. You know what I mean? I
think that the comment that I get the most from people is like my favorite comment of all. When I first put the book out, was finally somebody has the courage to tell this story, because there's so many of us that went through this, and then everybody, I talked about this in the last time I was on. It's like we're kind of holding on to all of this pain. Part of it is fear of who we're going to hurt, because the story is our story, but it involves other people, the other characters in my story. I think that, many of us are protecting, those people to our detriment.
That's really what's holding me back a lot.
Yeah.
That's what's holding me back a lot.
But we're hurting ourselves.
Well,
Because I can tell you that writing that book did something special for me. it changed me in so many ways. So now I'm like encouraging other people. Like I know, that feeling of, hang it, when my daddy gonna read it, he's not gonna be happier. Doggone it, when my aunt reads it, she gonna have a fit. But
My
like I said
mama.
earlier, I said, I wouldn't have a story to tell if it didn't happen. That's my favorite line. And I'm not trying to hurt anybody. If anything, I'm trying to help as many people as possible, whether you're an adult who went through it and just need somebody to be courageous enough to tell the story, or some young person who's going through it right now and feeling very alone and not really comfortable to talk to anybody about it. I know I wasn't. I did not want to tell a soul. So I
No.
didn't. So then I don't know how to get to resources. I didn't know how to get to resources. This is why I started the nonprofit Journey to Wellbeing, so that Anne wrote the book, and I post this book all over that page because a lot of youth follow me there, and I want them to see, like, I'm not just talking. I'm not just saying, hey, I want to
Been
help
through
you.
this.
I want to say, read this. I'll give it to
Mhm.
you for free. Read it so you can see you're not in this pain by yourself. Like, you not, and then tell me how I can help you. Like, if you could just tell me how I can help you, because you're not alone. Like, you
Mhm.
really are not alone. And I want to help. Tell me what I can do to help.
I think one of the things I heard that really hit me the hardest is like, there is healing in our sharing of our trauma.
Yeah.
So, you share your traumas with other people, and then they feel like you said, they know they're not alone.
Mhm.
And maybe they can teach you something too, because we all continuously healing. It
Yeah.
never stops.
It never
And
stops.
I think people think I've done the work, I'm good now. No, it ain't no, I'm good.
Mhm.
Just
I
like you're
get that
supposed to
in interviews.
keep
I
learning,
get it.
keep healing. And
Yep.
that's how you keep building yourself up. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. People ask me all the time, so now that you've written the book and,
like you
tell me
done.
how you're healed. Like, but I'm not.
I'm
I'm
not-
still very much triggered by,
Right.
like, we were talking about the show Snowfall. There's one scene in that in the first season where one of the ladies abuses crack for the very first time. Her reaction was so very well acted that I became nauseated and I had to turn off my TV. I have post-traumatic stress syndrome. I cannot watch or see certain things. I will probably forever be triggered. You're never healed. You're
No.
always healing. It's
Mhm.
never over, ever.
No.
It's
That's
never over.
crazy. That's crazy when people automatically assume that because you
Mhm.
think because I'm being strong and I'm getting through life that I'm healed from something. You know what I
No.
mean? It doesn't work that way.
It
It
does
don't work
not.
that way. It's an ongoing cycle that you have to do. You have to stay strong. And
Yes.
that's because you're still going through it. If I was already healed, then why I gotta stay so strong?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If I was already healed, then I ain't gotta keep pushing, right? But I'm pushing
Exactly.
still.
That was
So
one thing. That's one thing my mom didn't understand. Like, she felt like, well, because she made it through her trauma, that she was healed, but she never did any work.
Yeah.
But once I started going to therapy for my mental illness and, me feeling off balance, I had to address certain things with certain family members and bring it to their attention. Like, hey, this is something we can't just keep sweeping under the rug. I know
Yeah.
it's going to hurt you to talk about it or hear about it, but it's something we have to do. And I came to find out that my mom went through a lot of the same things that I went through and just never had anyone to go and deal with it with. So when it came up with me, she didn't know what to do. She panicked and was like, well, what do you want me to do? It wasn't my fault. And I wasn't there. And it's like, I'm not coming at you to solve the problem.
Yeah.
I'm coming at you to express where I'm at now.
Yeah.
And to learn that she went through it too, it's like, that's how you know it's generational stuff. We got to stop.
that right. Now you
Hold on one second, y'all.
You hit it right in the you hit it. That's nailed it. Because I mean my mama had a nervous breakdown and she blamed a lot of things on, this and that or whatever. She just didn't have that help, have the proper help. So she's not there with me in my life and my struggles.
Right.
And when I went through a nervous breakdown, I went through that by myself. She didn't even give me advice, like she was just with herself, like, well, I went through it, you can go through it. You got it.
Yep.
It don't work like that, bro. You know what I mean? Like, okay. So I get exactly what that means. It's like we have to talk about these things. I'm tired of sweeping it underneath the rug, like she said. And it's just like we can talk about these things and they always get uncomfortable sometimes, but Some things are
Especially with
uncomfortable.
grandmothers. My grandmother was notorious for, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I can tell you
Yeah.
though, right in
We
my
gotta
book,
talk about it. We gotta talk about
we
it.
got to talk about it.
We
I
gotta
can
talk
say
about
this, right in my book, I don't have a relationship with my mom.
Yeah.
It's very on and off. Right now it's
Yeah.
off, and I'm okay with that. But what I did
totally
discover from writing is how much compassion I have for her. It started after I was done. So much compassion from my mother, just because I've learned so much about her in her life, that, yes, she's been through a lot in her life and growing up, that made me, I can tell you that whenever we do connect, I will be probably giving her the biggest hug ever. I'm very okay with the distance. I don't have a problem with loving people from a distance. But I just see my mom a little bit differently now. And I have a different level of compassion, knowing some of the things that she went through. And it's usually that way. It's usually a cycle of just pain. She had pain that was inflicted on her by her parents, right? And she, my mom had me when she was 17 years old. My dad was 19. I put myself in her shoes often. If I was 17 years old and I had a baby and I had this man, I'm thinking, like, is he gonna still love me? Is he gonna love the baby more than me? Which can cause, depending on how far down the rabbit hole that takes you, it could take you into hatred towards your child.
Right.
Just off the thoughts alone. So now you're like hating your kid before your kid is even born, because you're afraid you're gonna lose your man because you're 17 years old and you're not completely developed here and ready to parent. So now you got this whole child who's done not a single thing, didn't even ask to be here, and you hate her already. She's not even here. But when you reverse that and realize that she got her own trauma, where her parents raised her a certain way and she got abused by her father, and damn it, that doesn't negate my experience at all. I mean, what happened to me happened to me. It just makes me understand it a little bit better, and it makes me have some compassion for her, that she probably doesn't even know I have, unless she watches this and hear me say this. She has no idea that I feel this way, that my heart breaks for my mother and her experience, However, I'm not excusing you for that nonsense that I went through, honey.
Exactly. I can't excuse you from that.
I'll forgive you, but I'm not going to forget, because that's a lesson for all of us. And my mom, she used to always throw it in my face, well, your daddy ain't here for you. Like, my dad was out of my life for 25 years. I wouldn't found him by myself 10 years ago. That was a journey that I put in motion. But before that, even during that process, she always like, well, he wasn't here. I raised you and he didn't care about you and he didn't love you. That was how you felt. He felt about you. Yeah. And you projected that onto me. And so it did make me feel like my mom didn't love me because my dad wasn't around. And she was mad at how he did her when she got pregnant. But I had nothing to do with that. I have to always remind her, Mom, I'm not mad about the situation anymore. But you can't keep putting it off on me that he wasn't around. Because that was an adult thing. I'm a child. People need to keep their children as children and leave them out of the adult conversations and adult situations.
Correct.
Because we don't have a lot to do with that. We are very helpless in those situations.
Correct.
But I did grow up thinking my mom did not like me.
Yeah.
Or she was always trying to compete with me or something.
I swear on everything, my mama hated me to death.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I know that feeling like, do you even like me? Like, every time she look at me in the face, it's just like something reminds her of her failure. And it's like, so it's like, damn, I didn't even do nothing, but I understand a little bit where she's from. But it's just kind of like, well, damn, you got to give me a chance. I'm trying.
My mom did apologize eventually.
But, I have compassion for my mother as well. It's like, I'd be like, do you even know how much I cry about you? How much I love you, and then when I see you, you look like you can't stand to look at my face, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell I did, and you know what I mean? I wasn't there, I was a baby.
Right.
You know? I get it.
I had to learn how to not make it personalized. You cannot personalize their feelings, but it's hard because you love them. I love you no matter what. But it's hard not to take those things personally when I know it's not coming, from a space where she really hates me.
Yeah.
I mean, but like you said, Keisha, my mom apologized too.
Yeah.
And that was something that was big because she doesn't apologize very easily. She's one of those strong, independent Black women. I raised 3 kids on my own. I got all it figured. No. Sometimes we got to say, I'm sorry and step back.
It was recent too. She apologized. She sent it in a social media message. She was just like, I know I wasn't the best mother to you all those years ago. And I apologize. And I told her at the time I hadn't published, and I just told her, it's okay, Mom, don't worry about it. I'm going to use my story and I'm going to use it to help other people. And it's interesting, even talking about that now, I'm realizing that even in that moment, I was still trying to make her proud.
Right. Still, always trying. Even though I don't have to prove anything to her no more, I still try to make her proud every day. And
I don't
just
even
the other
talk
day,
to my mother, but I was trying to make her proud still in that moment. Don't worry, Mom. It's okay that all this happened.
Right.
I'm going to use it. I'm going to make it better. I'm going to, crazy.
That mindset, we try to make everything, just make it easy. Just no fight. I don't want to fight. I don't want to go into that. Just be cool, but uncomfortable conversations are some of the most important conversations.
True. Very true. Very true.
So yeah, definitely. That's dope. But so when you starting your next book already?
I've already started. I'm hoping that I'm done and have it completed and ready for edit by the first of the year. I want to release it the first of the year. And then I'm done. No more after that. I never wanted to be an author, honestly.
But you might go ahead and do another one.
Look, Oprah gonna print your own and shit. We gonna fund your next book. What are you doing?
That's too funny.
I hope so. If I could bring this book to a larger audience and have people start their healing process, oh man, that would be purpose fulfilled. Because that's really what the point is for me.
Starting is the hardest part.
Yeah. Very true.
But if you got something to help you got resources, like you were saying earlier, if you got something that kind of sparks you a little bit, that's all it really takes.
Once you write that first story, you're good to go. Once you do that, you're good. I have stories that I wrote for this book that I took out intentionally because I'm like, nope, that will work way better in the next book. So there's some I don't even have to write, but I'm going to use those stories and I'm going to write it in the same style. Like, girl, me and my boyfriend did this. Let me tell you what happened that day. Blah, blah, blah. Because this book deals with me as a little girl. My next book will deal with me, as an adult.
Right.
Yeah. But in the same style. Same thing. So.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
So we'll talk to you again on book 12. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
You be talking about what it's like to be a millionaire and stuff,
I hope so. I'd love to tell. That's my whole thing. Let me bring y'all along for the ride here. Let me tell you how I did it. Here's how I survived.
We're going to all be on the wave together.
That's right. That's right. It's enough out here for everybody. So
no, I mean, everybody that's on here right now is doing incredible things. You know what I mean? And I love when I see a bunch of people that are trying to make a difference, doing incredible things, just come together and have an adult conversation. And it's a cool, calm, and collected conversation. It ain't it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's nice. And I love it. It's very mature. And I just love that everybody here, like I said, is just doing incredible things. I mean, I could talk about you guys all day.
Aww.
So I'm just impressed with everybody. I love the vibe. The vibe is
thank you.
Thank
you.
Yeah, well, we both just loved me and Roselle. We just both loved having you on the show so much, Keisha. So I really wanted to have you back when Shantae and Trika could be on here too, because I was like, this is just going to be a meeting of the mind, the soul.
Yes. Well, I'm super happy to be here. Always happy to be invited, and anytime you call me, I'll come around. And I appreciate you for even having me, both of you. Thank you both. You're very quiet, Roselle.
You don't say nothing, girl. You don't say nothing, girl.
Ro be listening, man. Ro likes listening to what people have to say, so he kind of sits back and listens.
He will say
exactly. Yeah.
Very much. But yeah, he kind of lets the conversation go because, I mean,
Well,
I
that's
mean,
cool.
sometimes some of these conversations, a bunch of women, you don't want to be the only man jumping in.
I know, Anna, what's going on, Anna? What you got to say, baby girl? You've been quiet too. This is your show.
I know, Anna.
Well, I mean, it's a real blessing to me. I mean, I mean, I'm just grateful to have a space, and just a really wonderful feeling when you're able to make a space for people to connect. And
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And not only just connect, but to be open and have conversations that they probably wouldn't have anywhere else.
True.
Yeah.
Very, very true. And I think that it's needed. I think that platforms like this are needed. I think more people will feel good about speaking on their story if they have access to other people who are doing it too. Like, oh, she did it. I think I can do it too.
Right.
You know?
I use my platform all day, every day. I ain't got no
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
Because I know too many people that are struggling right now and they on the edge.
Yeah.
And I gotta get them. You know what I mean? And I have to let them know, like, hey, you are not by yourself.
Exactly. You're not alone.
You're not
Yeah.
alone. So don't
Yeah.
feel like a loser. Don't feel like don't feel crazy. Don't feel like you're stupid or nothing like that. You're not by yourself. There's too many people out here bullying people and picking on people, and that's why they feel that way. They don't have nobody to connect with. You know what I mean? So we have to have communication. We have to communicate with these people. You know what I mean? Our stories can influence somebody to keep going.
That's so true.
And not give up, you know.
Like she made it. She made it on the other side. And I think that's what's important.
Right. So
yeah. And for people to know that, your life is valuable, your life is meaningful.
Yes.
And what happened to you, to everybody, is important. And yeah,
it happened for a reason.
We're all connected.
Yes, we are all one. And so, I think that's really important for people to know too. And, that gets lost in translation sometimes, because everybody is in their world living in, going through their emotions and their pain or happiness or joy, whatever it is. We kind of like sometimes put blinders on to what's happening around you. I do that too. But for me, what I would really like to do, and I'm now becoming incredibly disciplined in, is seeing what's happening within me and then seeing how that connects to the people around me. And then what can I do to help is really my main thing. Like, how can I serve? How can I serve? Tell me what to do. What can I do to assist you? Is there anything I can do? Can I just hold your hand? Like, what do you need? How can I help? That's my newest thing now. Like, yeah.
It's like I get a lot of not weird people. I get a lot of random strangers just walk up to me and they just want to spill out their life story to me. I'm like, what is going on here? I'm just trying to do my laundry, sir.
It's your vibe. Some people can sense when somebody is just that type of person. You know what I mean? And it's just it's energy you give off.
Yep.
That's all
exactly what it is.
Like, this looks like somebody I can talk to. It's a little crazy. But that means
but it becomes overwhelming sometimes. I have to learn how to put up those boundaries too and be like, look, I can't take on everybody's, energy, because I got to make sure that I'm balanced within myself too.
And that you have a support system too for you.
Right.
Like, who do you have that you can go to in the same way and say what you need to say and feel how you need to feel.
And it's hard to have that when you appear to be so strong and, got it all together, but people don't know that's just me wearing this mask. So you can't see my pain.
Yeah.
Every day. I cry every single day. Some people would not know that. They would not know. They'd be like, but you up here, you bomb, you doing this, you do. It's like, no, y'all don't even get it. You don't even get it. Like, this is a masquerade with me.
Yeah.
Like, I am broken down. I am really going through it. I am really hurting. I cry. I'm hurt. Sometimes I can't get out of bed. Y'all don't know. So it's like, sometimes I don't have nobody to talk to. But you ain't got no problems. You seem like you're all right. You know what I mean? Be like, no, man. Like we sometimes are trying to influence other people, but yet we don't have those other people that we need to talk to sometimes.
Yes, I think that's important. You need to surround yourself with a group of people that be there for others. That's my name. I'm be there for others. And also I'm really good at self-care and taking care of myself. Don't get me wrong. I am bomb at that. I take my time, period, for me. But it's always nice to have, whether it's a mentor or whatever, whoever, like everybody.
Look, I had to get me a therapist so I can make sure I got me a scheduled time every week that I can vent and tell this girl what these motherfuckers is doing to me in this life. But it's because I can go to her and she's not gonna put no bias or judgment on me. She's like, well, maybe we should go this way with it. But she don't try to impose too much on me. Yeah. She lets me, sometimes I just go in there, I just tell her about the week. I'm like, this stupid motherfucker said something to me. But and then she helps me kind of see a different perspective of it too. Yeah. Like, okay, maybe what they were trying to say, but I'm not gonna put anything on you. So I need that. I need that checks and balances because I get stuck in my mind. I'm like, well, what did I do? What did I do? You have to realize it's not always what you did. Yeah. It's what that person is going through themselves.
Yeah. But a lot of us, when we're hurt like that, we tend to blame ourselves a lot because, like, damn, it could be me. Like, why am I being treated like this from people that I care about? Is it me?
And that's all childhood trauma. Even when we blaming ourselves, when we taking responsibility for stuff that may or may not be our fault, it's all a trauma response to childhood trauma. It's all childhood stuff. Like, always. So those are the things that people need, to focus on healing. It may be happening in the now, but its root cause is somewhere way down the line. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some of it ain't even stuff that we experience ourselves. It's something that our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents. That trauma's with us in the bloodline, and people don't understand that energy too, because that's how it comes.
PTSD is genetic.
It's genetic.
Inherited. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that, and we're gonna have to do a show about that because
let's talk about that. Let's get up
there. Yeah.
It's a serious thing I feel is ignored. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. Real.
Yeah.
Real.
Yeah. And it's just people don't understand. And I mean, it's so important to know that, for people to know to heal themselves. And also, if you're talking to somebody and you don't to understand that, like, okay, this person is carrying not only their own pain, they're carrying like historic pain.
Yep.
So
so you might be acting out on something and not even knowing why. The whole time it's some sort of something from the past that you don't even recognize, but you still got to heal it because it's happening to you right now, Yeah.
Wow. This is we got to start winding down.
Yeah.
And
I didn't even realize that. Yeah.
I know. Time flies, huh?
That was a good conversation.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well,
So, okay, people, all the information to buy Keisha's book is in the chat. It's posted on Facebook. We need to do a reading at Ethnic Notions, Keisha.
Yes, you gave me her information and I need to reach out, and I'm totally happy to do that. And that would be great, especially now that everything's opening up and hopefully going to stay opened up. I'll reach out to her soon. I will. Yeah, probably this weekend. That would be great.
Okay. Good, because that's going to be amazing. That's going to be so cool for people.
I agree.
In person.
I agree.
And you can sit at a chair. I mean, to me, like being an author, it's like, okay, when you can like sit at a chair and a table and like have a pile of your books and sign them.
Yeah.
People, because if you order Keisha's book, she will sign it. So don't go to
I will.
Yeah. Order it directly.
I want to sign one. So I'm gonna give me a signed one. I ain't playing around.
I'm happy to sign it. Yeah, if you go to the link, it'll tell you which link to click on for the signed copy. So you can go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble. But if you click the right link, it'll straight up say, it'll say autographed book or signed copy. Click here for a signed copy.
Well, I want to have a video of you signing it, then you send it to me, and that's how I get it.
I'm
gonna do that though for sure, because
I appreciate
I definitely want to talk about that. Just I do a lot of hosting and things like that, and I definitely want to I always try to talk about like a lot of Black owned businesses and people that's doing stuff. So
you got to come to the Ethnic Notions reading, Shantae. It's an African American bookstore and art gallery right up on Marin Street. That's where she,
I'm not by Marin.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't even. Well, they ain't got no. Some of the book places out here are closed still. So
she's open. Yeah,
okay, I'm gonna go.
And
good.
well, thank you so much for having me
Thank
on. And
you.
I so appreciate the support from all of you. I
Yeah,
definitely, I'm
pleasure.
100% grateful. 100%.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hey, y'all, I gotta run. My battery is on its last leg.
Yeah, me too. Okay, talk to you soon, everybody.
Talk
I'll
to
be
you
connecting with
soon.
everybody.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Good
All
night.
right. I'll hit you up, Keisha.
Thank you, please.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.